Hello there, world of tankers. Welcome to the channel. I'm your host, the Droodles Blitz, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about two maps which are going to be making a return in World of Tanks Blitz, which is actually pretty cool. Now, I don't know exactly when these maps will be making a return, but I can tell you that it will be sooner than you think. This here is Lost Temple, and Lost Temple is a pretty cool map. It actually looks sick, as we can see. It's kind of like an ancient Chinese temple. We've got a bunch of buildings. We got like this little temple in the center, and then we got like obviously the main one with all the stairs off on the edge here. This map looks really, really cool. We can see some like early renderings of it here. Honestly, for how old this map is, it is pretty impressive on the graphics and the quality. I hope that Wargaming does kind of give it PBR, a little bit of a spicing up, but the map's very cool. You got heavy side, which is obviously this portion of the map. Heavies usually make their way over to these haul down chunks here. They push up. I remember this back in the day. You'd push up to the stairs here, and this is where you'd put your heavies. And you'd work this corner of the building, and then you could side scrape over here. Honestly, heavy side was pretty well balanced. And then you had medium flank. And the way medium flank worked is that you had all of these different areas to work. So you could go far wide, and you had all these hull down areas over here. You could drive over the bridges, and there was honestly a lot to this map. And I don't know why Wargaming even, put it to the side, because I kind of think this was a fairly well balanced map. I don't understand what the problem with it was, but in general, it's a really cool map. And you can see kind of how it works. Mediums had so many different opportunities to work here. They could go all the way over here. They could push into the center. They could work this spot hull down. But then you might have to worry about tanks over here. Ideally, pushing far wide was the best area. You could also work up top, on these bridges and try and look down and use the gun depression. But then you'd have to be worried about tanks over here shooting into you. There were a lot of different positions. It was actually very fun. There were also certain tank destroyer spots. I'm not sure if I have photos of the tank destroyer spots. There's one over here. This was a little hill you could work in a tank destroyer, which was obviously pretty nice. This is another spot back here. You could look down the alleyway in a tank destroyer. I don't know if this video actually showcases the map or not. Let's see. Do they showcase it? There you go. We can actually see some gameplay of the map here. And yeah, I think that it was a pretty cool map in general. What's funny is that now World of Tanks Blitz is obviously less of Blitz, which is what the OG channel was. But yeah, I do think that this was a very, very fun map. Obviously, the graphics are very outdated, which we can see. I mean, look at how OG the graphics are. But Blitz has honestly looked the same for a very long time. Oh, there's the old E5 with a big old hatcher there. Man, Blitz has definitely gotten... a lot of people are like, oh, I miss OG Blitz. Do you really? Do you really miss the 30 FPS? And this, personally, I think this was pretty tragic back in the day. But point being... I do think Lost Temple is a very, very fun map, and I think it's pretty well balanced. I think that if Wargaming were to revamp it and, fix the graphics and make it better, I'd be very, very excited to see this make a return in Blitz. The last time we've seen it played was basically 2016. But, as I mentioned, this is not the only map which we're missing. We also have Mirage, which we can see here. This is an overhead view of Mirage. This is medium flank, and then this is the heavy flank over here. We can see some photos of it. If I can like copy and paste these photos, which are kind of interesting. But here's one photo of medium side on Mirage. We can see exactly what we're working with. So, you've got the little dip in here. You've got all the way far corner. This is the medium side. It's kind of goofy how these photos are. You just copy and paste this, and we throw that in the here, and then it'll load us a picture of Mirage. So this is heavy side. We can see how you got the waterfall, which you could make your way underneath, and then you could work this area here and put your tanks. I also thought that this map was pretty fun to play on. I didn't really think there were many problems with these maps and the overall balance that were behind them. We can see a better overview of heavy side, so there weren't a great amount of areas to side scrape. I do think they would have had to add a couple more buildings for slower vehicles like the mouse and stuff to side scrape and work. But you had a dedicated heavy side, you had a dedicated medium side, and it was fine on both of them. We can actually get a better idea of how both of these maps were on... This is an overhead view here where we can kind of see the design. Obviously, it's not like super high quality, but you can see how the overall map was. So this is the medium flank over here. We can see, you know, where you can drive your mediums. You usually ideally put them all the way into this back corner here. You'd fight in this back corner. And then, as I said, there were tank destroyer spots. I remember very distinctly these two tank destroyer spots here and here, and they would overlook through these little alleys into this area over here for tanks that would poke there. And then, you know, if you moved up a little bit, you might be able to shoot into this area. You know, there were a lot of different positions that you could work. This is ideally where you'd probably put your super heavies. You'd side scrape them in this area, and then you could shoot over here. You can put your tank destroyers also in this area. You could overlook this. There were a lot of different areas you could work. I think that this was one of the more balanced maps in the game. I am very confused on why Wargaming actually ended up removing this one. And then we can also make our way over to the map choice here, and we can try and find Mirage, which is this one. This is the one which we obviously didn't have too many photos of. So Mirage, the way it works is obviously we have medium side over here. Medium side, you would you'd make your way over. You had a couple different options. You could push all the way over here, and we can see that with the way the terrain works. This was all flat, so you could kind of work this. There's obviously some deformation in the terrain. Oh, did I just invert the map? Okay, no, we're good. But there's obviously some deformation in the terrain. I hate that it's not like letting me actually like show you it on flat ground, but you can definitely see that this is higher off the ground than this. You can actually see the tank climb up that. And then, you know, you could work this ridge line here. You could shoot tanks, which was really, really fun. You had all these berms here. This kind of reminded me of like Desert Sands, Oasis Palms in middle. And then the heavy side, you obviously have the buildings, which you can side scrape here. And then you would ideally place some of your heavies all the way far corner, and then you could poke this corner, and then you could try and get some shots out. And then with tank destroyers, especially faster ones, you would push them over here. You could try and get into this position. You'd try and fight the enemy off of this spot. And then ideally you could shoot tanks that were over here. I think that overall, the map balance of Mirage was decent. I do think that heavy side should have been a little larger. Maybe instead of being this little corner and then having medium side, this whole area here, heavy side should have been extended to like this and extend all the way over. But in general, I do think that this was a very, very well balanced map again. And it looked really nice. It had a waterfall. It had the water over here. It's one of the more vibrant maps. Why Wargaming benched these two maps, I really don't understand. Especially when we still have frickin' Copperfield in the game. Bro, Copperfield is the worst map. Like, what? This map is ugly to look at. It's small. It brings nothing to the table. Why is this a map in Blitz, bruh? Copperfield still exists? It's absolutely goofy. It makes no sense. But, yeah, I don't know what to say. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you guys think. But I do hope that at some point, Wargaming does bring these maps back. And on to the question of when will they be bringing them back, because I know a lot of you are probably there for that. Well, Wargaming is going to be bringing these maps back in Blitz Reforged. They've confirmed it. They've said in Blitz Reforged we are going to work on bringing Copperfield. We're going to be working on bringing Mirage and Lost Temple back into the game. So this actually is pretty cool news, and it's one thing to look forward to when it does release. So while a lot of you may hate a lot of things about Reforged, at least we are going to be getting 2 OG maps, hopefully back. We'll have to see what actually happens. But, yeah, that is something that I'm excited for. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye!